All right, I think for the sake of everyone's time, we'll go ahead and get started. Thank you so much for taking time out of your night to be with us to talk about kids and technology. My name is Caitlin Tully. I'm here from the Center for Family Safety and Healing. And then we also have Margie, if you'd like to introduce yourself.
Hello, everyone. My name is Margie Carrington, and I am a trainer coordinator with the Center for Family Safety and Healing.
Great. So Margie and I, as part of the Center for Family Safety and Healing, we're part of Nationwide Children's Hospital. But in the center specifically, we focus on healthy relationships. So we go into elementary, middle, and high schools talking about healthy relationship components. And when we first started doing this work, one of the things we heard over and over again from educators and principals, when we need to talk about kids and technology, if we're going to talk about healthy relationships. And at the time, there really wasn't a lot of great content that was out there designed for families to really dive into some of the issues around relationships and kids and technology. And so we really built a curriculum based on a lot of the research, a lot of the content that's out there. So we deliver trainings in schools for children and also the adults that are partnered with those kids, whether those are parents or teachers, et cetera. And so what you're going to see tonight is kind of an overview of all of those components. And Margie's going to take the lead on walking through different apps that kids use. We'll be able to help answer questions. There is a question and answer feature. So someone in the chat said, are we supposed to see something like a presentation on the screen? Mine is black, so I'm not sure. Might be more of a technical question we can kind of navigate. Let's see here. As we're working on that, we'll make sure to see if there's any way for you to actually see the content, because it is a very visual presentation. But for the content tonight, we'll be walking through different apps that kids are using, really talking through that to make sure that parents understand, or any adults that are connected to kids understand kind of what those look like. And then also some of the relevant tools that are available for families. And again, we're going to have it be interactive in the sense of this Q&A, and then also some other features. So someone else said, I can view Margie's screen with the slides. So if anyone is experiencing, like I know Jennifer wrote that she is struggling to see the screen. If you're struggling to see the screen, I believe that you are able to exit and then try to re-enter. That might be one option, or to refresh Zoom in some way. But please let us know if you're continuing to have any issues with being able to see this screen. I'm glad that some people are able to see the slides. So Margie, if you want to kind of advance, then we'll move forward.
So we're going to do a fun little poll. It's called Poll Everywhere. I'm just going to go past this page because it seems as though it doesn't really want to work today. So what we're going to ask is, if you can either use your cell phone, or you can go to your website. And if you're going to use your cell phone, you could text TCF SHT 760 to 22333 to join in our poll everywhere. Or you can go on to the website and go to pollev.com/TCFSHT760. And that's another way that you would be able to join into our poll.
And if that feels a little overwhelming, I know sometimes the joys of technology, you can also utilize that Q&A. Obviously, it's not really a question, but we really would love to know, just kind of from your perspective, when you were in elementary school, right, what was the cool thing that everybody had to have that was technology related? Game Boy, absolutely classic. Thank you. For me, everyone had to have the Discman was very popular, or the Walkman, depending on, cassette versus CD. And I thought I was super cool when I got the Sport one that had 10-second anti-skip technology. I mean, it was really, the height of cool. So Cordless phones.
Cordless phones.
Yes, right. You could have some privacy, step away for a minute. I know oftentimes around the same time there were cordless phones, there were also kids lines. So you had your own line. And many people may remember having like printed phone books for the entire school that had those lines printed. So yes, absolutely. Phones and staying connected.
Yes.
What about you, Margie, when you were 10? The
So one of
Walkman as
the
well.
things that, as we're talking about phones, we were talking about the party lines that they used to have. So it's similar to what some of our apps that we're going to speak about today, that connection, being able to talk to other people. Atari, absolutely.
Video
Um,
games.
yes, spell and check. I
Mhm.
remember when Nintendo came out, it was like the biggest thing. Mario Brothers.
Mhm. Yeah, the speak and spell, I remember, oftentimes we would, like, have the speak and spell, like, say silly things and and absolutely was a joy for many, elementary school kids, definitely. Great, thank you so much for sharing those thoughts, really
These
wonderful.
are all wonderful memories.
Mhm, yes, a little walk down memory lane. Now, when you
Yes.
think about these, technologies that were cool, did your parents understand them? Like, did your parents appreciate why you loved Game Boys? Did they understand Walkmans? Like, did they fully support your interest in these technologies? And this can just kind of be you don't really have to answer that, but just more think for yourself. Like, what was it like for your parents' response to that technology? And then if
This
your, parents understood it and supported you, what was that like? If they didn't, what did that feel like? Just kind of pausing there. And then when the second question we wanted to ask you was really, what does it feel like for you as a parent? Do you feel like you're the parent that totally gets why kids are obsessed with technology? Are you the parent that's like, I don't understand this. I don't get it. I'm not connected to it. Sort of your level of expertise as a parent. Like some people are like, I could develop an app tomorrow. I know exactly how these things function. And other people are like, I'm lucky I have a smartphone and even know how to work it. So just kind of some context for where you stand as a parent. What is sort of your approach? Absolutely. Being scared about what they could be exposed to. The internet is a vast place and some of it is beautiful and some of it is scary. And that is a very, very real thing. Absolutely.
and I
Anyone
think,
else have any that's oh sorry, go ahead, Margie.
oh no, you're fine. I was just gonna to speak on that feeling of being scared about what your child might be exposed to. And I think that is a fear that many parents struggle with. I am a parent myself, and so I definitely understand that feeling of being scared and maybe a little uncomfortable because you don't know or you don't have control over a lot of the things that they might be exposed to. So that is an unsettling feeling.
Mhm.
I feel very comfortable with technology, but trying to moderate it with my kids is overwhelming. Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. I think the parents here tonight have shared what is very typical from parents that we work with. One is fear, again, totally normal because it's hard to have a grasp for what this is. Some people are saying, I get it, and I feel like that connection has strengthened my relationship with my child. Other people are saying, I get the technology, but what do I do with that when it comes to my elementary age kid, right? That's very overwhelming. And then another person, concerned child may end up with bad role models, right? So, what sort of messages are your children receiving? Does that support your family's values? Is it in contrast to your family's values? These are all big questions that parents have to navigate. Absolutely.
And
Anything else you'd share, Margie?
now I was just gonna say all the questions and all these statements that I see popping up on this poll, I think they're all valid. And this is something that we're going to talk about, we're going to touch on
Mhm.
as we go through this presentation. So please know we do understand there are going to be parents that feel totally comfortable when it comes to technology, when it comes to even speaking with their child about technology. And we also know there's going to be parents who may not feel as comfortable. They might know maybe a little bit about technology, but if you did not grow up with technology, with all these social medias, you might feel very uncomfortable because you really don't know how to really even use it yourself. So it's kind of hard to talk to your child about something you don't really know about. So that can be a struggle as well. So we're going to talk about all that. And hopefully, if you have any questions, please put them in the question and answer. We'd love to hear what you have to say or even comments.
Absolutely. Yes. Thank you. And I think like Margie, beautifully highlighted, again, like as parents, this can feel really overwhelming. Our goal tonight is to make sure that you're prepared not only with the information that's going to help you, but also just a space to share and name that. Right, to name that this is an overwhelming and scary thing. And so our goal is not only to make sure that you have all the information to be armed with, but also ways that you can feel supported so you can help build connections with other parents that may be feeling very similar ways, and also help to build that connection with your child. Because again, sometimes we feel like we have to have all the answers as parents. Really, the most important thing, and we're going to talk through this, is how do we make sure that we feel calm, that we feel like we have the knowledge we need to stay connected to our kids as they navigate this big, very big thing.
And so as we get started, we're going to go through some of these apps. Some of the apps you might use yourself, so you might really know about these apps, but some of these apps you may not know a lot about, but you probably have heard of them. We know that your children are under the age of, I will say, 10 or 11. So we do understand that there might be like one of the apps that they may not be using, but they may have older siblings or older neighbors or cousins that are on these apps. So they definitely know what they are. And so as we move forward, we're going to start to look at what are some of these apps. Why are they so popular? Why does it seem like they want to spend all day on their cell phones or on their tablets? And cell phones are for, if you have like older children, I would say maybe fourth and fifth grade, that have cell phones, which is a lot of fifth graders have cell phones and they are using some of these apps. And, even for your parents that have younger children, it still is good to know what these apps are because, again, they might have older siblings that are on them. But we will talk about some apps that are for a variety of ages.
And like Margie's, like we talked about earlier, like we all wanted the cool technology when we were 10, and the cool technology was probably what older teens were using and that we wanted to. And the same is true for the apps we're going to talk about. So even if they're apps that maybe aren't yet part of your child's world, in some ways, like Margie said, we want to introduce that before it's even something that your kids are seeing so that you're prepared.
And so one of those apps is Instagram. I know a lot of people are using Instagram. Instagram is one of the popular apps, one of the most, when it comes to our mainstream apps, we think of Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. But this is the one that a lot of our kids are using. They're on Instagram. And your child may not be on this yet, but as I said, if they are in fourth or fifth grade, they might be on here. But this is an app that we see teens use this and children are on Instagram because it's a place for them to connect with their friends. They love the pictures. They like being able to have that support with their friends. They're able to meet other people that might have similar interests. And it's a place that sometimes from when we speak with students, we go out and I work with middle schools and I work with high school students. And when we talk about Instagram, one of the things that we hear a lot about is, they love the fact that they can get on, they can follow their friends. They love to post pictures. As we all know, selfies are huge. when it comes to Instagram. They love to take the selfies. But one of the things too is getting those likes, right? It can make them feel good about themselves. It's a way that they're able to share what their interests are. And Instagram is just one of those social media apps that you're going to find a lot of people are at, not just our children, but again, adults are going to be using Instagram as well. Caitlin, is there anything that you would?
Yeah, I think, like Margie described, like Instagram is really visual. It's a way to stay connected. And most of the time, elementary school, like what we know across the national data is that by third grade, most kids have seen an Instagram account, whether that is a peer or an older sibling or older family member or something, right? So by third grade, they have at least some knowledge of what Instagram is and how it's connected. By fourth and fifth grade, we start to see kids who have accounts, even though that's under the age limit of Instagram. And one of the things we see with Instagram is something called a Finsta. It's even more popular with middle school and high school students, but it's happening in fourth and fifth grade too. So they might have a main account that maybe is parent approved and it's mostly family members or it's like kids from school. But then they can also have a second account that they create that's called a Finsta. And so we just want parents to also be aware that if you are monitoring their main account, keep in mind that there may also be a secondary account. Most kids will link them. So one of the ways that we, again, don't want to like encourage a ton of parental controls, but I think especially for this age group, it's really important for them to have some supports. So if you go into child's Instagram account on their phone or your phone, if they're logged in under there, you'll be able to see linked if you click on the username and click a drop down arrow. We'll also, can send follow-up of a screenshot of how to access that. But I think Finstas are something that gain popularity as kids get into fourth and fifth grade.
And just to add, Instagram is different at each school. So your child might be at one elementary school and they're using Instagram in fifth grade. And even though we know that you do have to be 13 in order to use a lot of these apps, we know our children are still able to, they're still signing up for them and they're still using them. My daughter, she told me at her school, no one uses Instagram. It's just not popular. That's just not what they're into. And we're going to talk about the one that they're into a little bit later is the Snapchat. That's the one that at her school is the one that is popular. So just to keep that in mind as well, it does change from different school populations. In middle schools, Instagram might be very popular there, or Snapchat might be the most popular one. So it does change.
Yeah.
So this is another one. I just brought it up, Snapchat. So Snapchat is another popular app amongst our children. And one of the things that they like about Snapchat, again, it's a way that they're able to stay connected with their friends. I also know it's also a place where they may not feel as a lot of pressure that they might have at when they are using Instagram, because of that image of on Instagram trying to have like that perfect type of selfie. They don't feel that way because with Snapchat, they're having these messages with their friends. So it's with people that they know. So they feel a little bit more comfortable that they can just be themselves. So Snapchat is very popular. They use it to send messages back and forth. One of the things that Snapchat is big on is they have a place. A lot of the kids think that my pictures go away or my snaps go away whenever I send it because they disappear after 24 hours. So they think, oh, I can send things, they'll disappear, they'll go away. But we know things do not go away on anytime on the web. We know that things are there forever, but our kids don't think that. They believe that if they send things, and a lot of times they feel because it can disappear within 24 hours after the snap has been opened, that they might be able to get away with sending some inappropriate things or saying things that may not be always be appropriate, or even with illegal things because it might go away. So that's one of the popular reasons too that a lot of kids like Snapchat, because it disappears. One of the things that they use is My Eyes Only. With My Eyes Only, it's a place where they can keep their messages that they don't, their memories that they don't want others to see. So they'll put it, you have to have a special password in order to get into the My Eyes Only that they have. And that's a place that they can store certain pictures and certain things, like I said, memories there. So when we speak with students about Snapchat, we try to get them to understand that, you know, being very careful about what you might send to your friends. Another statement that we hear a lot is, well, we can see when they open up our Snap. We can tell if they took a screenshot. And when we ask them, are there ways to get around having the other person see if you have opened up their message or not? And we always hear students say, yes, you can do it this way, you can do that. So they know different techniques that they could use to still take pictures or avoid you seeing that that message has been screenshot. So when we talk to students about that and we say, well, if you know that, you know, why, you know, be very careful about what you're going to send out. And so My Eyes Only is a way that they think this will help them keep things private. Anything else you would add?
So I think one of the things that, would be very different than what we would give as advice for teenagers, where we would say, like, it's not developmentally appropriate for parents, most of the time. And again, there can be different approaches, but most of the time, it's not developmentally appropriate for parents to like go into that account and sort of, create their passwords for their child and those sorts of things. But with elementary school kids, you can kind of turn that privacy around. And you can say, we're going to create a passcode that, we're going to agree upon as a family for My Eyes Only. And that's where you're going to put your silliest photos, right? And so you can actually turn that privacy feature.
Caitlin, did you go out?
The My Eyes Only account.
Caitlin, I'm not sure. I think you're going in and out.
Sorry about that. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Sorry, I know it said my internet was unstable for a second. Sorry about that. But I don't know if we were able to hear that, but to, again, utilize the passcode as a family sort of connection, use silly filters. And that way, that your child isn't utilizing the My Eyes Only, you have the passcode. Now, a lot of the times, by the time we get to older middle school and high school students, that window has closed. And so let's utilize it while we can. That would be the only thing I would add as kind of creative things that you can do while your kids are in elementary school.
So another thing that we see with Snapchat is a snap streak. And a snap streak, it starts after 3 days of sending at least one Snapchat after 24 hours. So this can be a big deal. I was speaking with my daughter about it, and she, especially since the pandemic and this summer and not being able to see her friends, this has really been a way for her to keep in touch with her friends and talk and be silly with her friends. So they talk back and forth. They'll send messages back and forth. And if you'll start a streak after 3 days. And so this becomes very important to our children and their friends, because this is a way that it can be a way that they measure their friendships. And so to them, if they're not, if they're not able to keep a streak going, that could be a huge that could be huge to them when it comes to that friendship and not being able to send a snap. So, there's times when parents, and I've done it, and it's, oh, you can't be on your phone. And to that child, it's like, why are you so upset about that? Well, if they have a streak going on, they don't want to stop that streak, because then they start a score that starts to, their point level will go up for however long they're able to keep this streak. And one of the things that they also have are the different emojis that go along with that. So you might see like this little star thing, and that shows that someone has replayed your snap in the past 24 hours. You might have the red heart. That means that you're the #1 best friend for 2 weeks straight. And then, these are just some other emojis. And you might have seen these emojis and you're like, what does it really mean? And here are the different meanings when it comes to Snapchat. One of them is the hourglass. So when the hourglass pops up, that means that their streak is about to end. So we've seen students that will say, we'll take pictures of anything. You might see them take a picture of the ceiling or a picture of the floor just to keep the streak going. They might even try to, if they're going away or they're not able to get to their phone, give their phone to a friend to keep, or give their password out to a friend to keep that streak going, because they don't want to break it. It becomes such a, I don't want to say like competition, but it becomes this way of, if I break this streak, I don't want my friend to think that we're not really best friends, or my friend to get upset with me. So it's fun for them to keep the streak going, but also it can also be that other way of, is this a way that they're measuring what their friendships are?
Mhm. Yeah. And I think one of the most important things to remember about that, or to really think through, which I think is hard to do sometimes, is we think like, is this real? And it is very real to, especially those older elementary school children, as well as, as we enter into middle school. So for those who have fifth graders that are starting to really reach that, tween stage, but also that this is something that Snapchat does with intention, that this is part of how they make the app profitable. Because if they're not having users every single day, they make less money in terms of the ads that they sell. In those earlier pictures that you saw, the screenshot of what Snapchat looks like, there were a bunch of different ads from major companies. Well, those ad placements cost a lot of money. And so Snapchat, they built their model into utilizing children's need for connection. And so they've created streaks to get children to use their product. Now, when we tell that to sixth, seventh, and eighth graders, it blows their mind and they start to think, oh, these companies are manipulating me. That's not cool. If we said the very same thing of your parents, encourage you not to use this, well, they wouldn't care as much, right? Unfortunately, we don't have the same power as if companies are manipulating them, right? But
Yeah.
that can be one of the best ways to help kids kind of understand that streaks might have social currency, but truly it is about these companies that want to make money off their data. And even fourth and fifth graders that we work with, that has a powerful impact on them to start to think, does this really have the weight that I think it does? And so that can be one of the ways that we can also build that conversation. So it's not just that you as a parent don't want them to stay connected to their friends, but that you're looking out for the ways that their information is being used or misused by these companies. And that can be, again, a really powerful way for kids to think about social media differently. And, Margie has firsthand experience of kind of watching those students react. So we've been actually doing presentations at the middle school level in Westerville, and students are often very surprised and have had these accounts since fourth or fifth grade. So we know in the district that this is a very real thing. So if we can have that conversation in fourth or fifth grade, we hope to see your students in a couple of years, and they already know this information, and that would make us so happy.
And it's
Thanks,
it's
Margie.
always, yes, and just to add to that, it's always when you see their reaction when we talk to them about the companies, and when we say you're the product, their reaction of surprise when we say that, because we really are the product. These companies are making big time money off of us using their apps. And especially when it comes to Snapchat, even Instagram, with all the likes, each time your picture gets a like, you become more marketable. And even with the even with Snapchat, excuse me, that whole idea that things disappear after 24 hours, again, they know that young people are very impressionable. And so they know that if they came out and said, your stuff doesn't disappear, we keep that stuff, anything that you send out, the kids, will they continue to use it? I'm not quite sure. If people really knew that they're able to keep all of their pictures and stuff within, we talk about like the privacy policy and what it says when it comes to that, and how they're able to keep material or content that are on their sites for legal reasons or business needs. So when we talk to the students about that, it is very surprising. So it's just great to see that they really do listen when we talk about that. So another part of Snapchat is Snap Maps. This is another feature that Snapchat has. And Snap Maps is a way that it shows your location of where you are. And one of the ways that you can, do for your child to keep them safe from this is to go into the setting, and you can go into what is called ghost mode. And that is where no one can see, none of your child's friends, any of their followers can see where your child is at, where their location is at. Because when we talk to students about that, and we talk about the safety reasons why that's not safe for people to know where you are, and we bring up the fact that the only people that really need to know where you are, where your location is at all times, is really your parents. And that's because being a parent, our job is to make sure you're safe. And so that's a safety reason why. That's the only need people that need to know where you are at all times. So we tell students that go in ghost mode. That is the safety. That's the safest thing to do if you're on Snap Maps. So one of the things that we hear, we had a student that she would follow her friends. She would look and see where they were at, just so she could make sure she was included or she wasn't left out. So interesting enough, my daughter and I just had this conversation about this. We were talking about Snap Maps, and she asked me, why? Why is it not okay? I mean, it's okay for my friends to know. And I said, do they have to know where you're at all times? And we just had this open discussion about the safety behind having your friends know where you're at, that location part. And I listened to what she had to say, and I even gave her the same example of the girl that wanted to know where her friends were located, so she wasn't excluded. And when I talked to her about that, she said, well, that's not okay. That's not cool. No, that's not cool. So it's a great way when you do, if your child has this, if they're in the 5th grade, that you're able to sit and just talk to them about it. So,
And oh, sorry, I
okay.
didn't mean to
No,
interrupt
go
you,
ahead, go
Margie.
ahead.
Just
No,
really
no, go ahead.
quickly for the Snap Map also, Margie pointed out the great feature in the settings of ghost mode. Another thing while you're in that settings to consider is something called quick add. So what happens is Snapchat will use the map and they will say, let's say your child turns their Snapchat on while at school. Any friends of their friends on Snapchat can be quick added as friends. So that means if even one of your child's friends has accepted somebody who may not be someone who has the best interest of your child at heart, or an adult that shouldn't be connected to that child or something, though they can be quick added if they're in the same vicinity. So the expectation is that you would only be in the same area if you were connected somehow, right? But all it would take is a connection to another child. So that is a great one, especially for elementary school kids. Turn that off. And again, like Margie said, all for Snapchat, the settings are pretty simple. Go into the account, into the settings, and you can turn on ghost mode and turn off quick add. So we would highly recommend those as some safety features that you can use to make Snapchat a safer option for your child if you choose to use it.
So this just leads us into another app that I'm not quite sure if any of you are familiar with this, or if you've seen this before. This app is called Monkey, and this is actually connected through Snapchat, so they can use their Snapchat username on this, and it is they are able to talk to random users. So this is a video chat app, and this so you're able to find, you log in, and it'll have, it'll tell you the gender and the age, and you can click if you would like to start a chat with them. It'll give you a 10-second video. You'll talk to each other. If you would like to have more time, you're able to click on more time. Now, with that being said, this isn't someone that your child knows. It could be a stranger. It could be, anyone. And even though we all know, if the person said that they're 15, 13, 10, or 11, people lie about their age all the time. So your child can click, go on there, and it could be, anyone. And so this is an app that we would say definitely speak to your child about, because it could, they're speaking with strangers. And another thing, like Caitlin was saying, with the quick add, if your child isn't in ghost mode on the Snap Maps and they do a quick add, they would be able to find them and know where their location was.
Yes, and thankfully, this is no longer able to be downloaded in the App Store, for example. But that hasn't stopped people from using this on older devices. And I've even seen like some slightly older children, like teenagers, looking for old devices that have old operating systems. Or some children will even download like old operating systems that have had previous apps on them. So for the most part, that's not happening with our elementary school students that we work with or connected with. But just to make sure that, if you're thinking about how your child's phone, you can check the operating system, and making sure that it's the most up to date is another way to ensure that the apps that have been deemed dangerous aren't accessible to them.
Thank you. So the next app we're going to get into is TikTok. I think we all know about TikTok. We've heard about TikTok. It's everywhere. We won't get into all the political stuff behind TikTok over the summer, so we're not going to even get into that. But TikTok is everywhere. I think you can't go on TV. We have celebrities who are doing TikTok, and even as a parent, you might have did a TikTok dance, especially this summer. We were at home. You can go anywhere. What's the best thing to do is have fun. This is the reason why TikTok is so popular. TikTok is another social media app where teens go on, well, children go on, and you get to see different video clips. You can make your own videos. You can sing over songs. It's just so much fun things that you can do. You can act silly. It's a great way for your child to have some self-expression, get creative. So these are all the reasons why TikTok is so popular. And even, for adults, I think, if you look, I've heard a lot of adults say, I kind of get on TikTok and I just find myself scrolling through TikTok because it just kind of, it's fun. And just to see people having fun, and even when it comes to having some of those similar interests as well, right? Can be very exciting to your children. And even for smaller children, I've seen little kids getting on with their older siblings or with their parents. And it's just this fun app. And with TikTok, one of the things that you can do when it comes around the safety feature is you can go into the digital well-being. TikTok has a place that you go into, you can limit the screen time, you can manage that, you can allow them to be on for 2 hours a day. You can also have a restriction mode where it limits the appearance of their videos and who can see their videos, who can follow their videos. So one of the things that I will say is on this, to go into the privacy settings and put it on private. So where no one can comment or make any type of, strangers can't just see your child's videos or anything. Definitely put it all on private mode. Another thing that TikTok did was anybody under the age of 16 and under can no longer get direct messages. So that's a policy that just recently has been a change with TikTok. So anybody under 16 can no longer receive direct messages. But again, we also know that children go on TikTok. They're not always telling the truth that they are over a certain age, because it's based off of whatever birth date that you put in. So this is one that I added. This is Dub Smash. It is similar to TikTok. It's another video app where it shows small clips. It shows video clips for about 15 seconds, very short videos. And for the same reasons, this one is starting to become very popular. Again, my daughter let me know this yesterday, how this was such a popular app. And everyone is starting to use this now. So this is one to be on the lookout for, is Dub Smash. And so again, it is similar to TikTok. One of the things with Dub Smash is it doesn't have all of the privacy settings that TikTok might have. So, being aware of that. So another one is YouTube Kids. I'm sure for my parents that have younger children, this is something that is an app that you're able to actually go on, and your child, all the videos, all the content is for younger children. So if it's on default, it's going to show videos that are appropriate for younger kids, songs that are appropriate for younger kids. You can go into you can do the parental control. And when you do the parental control, one of the things that, it will allow you, where it's pretty much if you want your child to be able to search for content within the app, or you don't want them to search for content. So this is one that I would say is, great for younger children to get on because of the content.
Margie, as you're talking through parental controls, and I apologize, my neighbor is Can you hear me clearly, Margie? Or can you hear that
Can.
background noise?
Nope, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Okay. Yes, I can. Thank you. Sorry. My neighbor is using some sort of machine and it's very loud on my end. So I'm glad it's
Oh,
not affecting of everything on the recording. Um, but when you're thinking about parental controls, we had a question in the chat box that was about protections with Chromebooks versus at school versus other things to be aware of. And obviously, like having a YouTube account that's YouTube Kids is really great. And then being able to restrict things. But with Chromebooks, they are so connected to Google, obviously, that one of the resources we're going to talk about a little bit later, which is the Be Internet Awesome, is something that we're going to look into. But YouTube Kids is another great thing you can do. I just wanted to highlight it while we had that question, is you can have your child connected into YouTube Kids rather than into the adult YouTube by restricting YouTube and linking the sort of bookmark or some other connection into YouTube Kids. So that can be one way that parents can have a little bit more of those parental control features like Margie just mentioned. Sorry to interrupt you, but it was just a perfect opportunity to kind of talk through
great.
that. Yeah.
No, great question. So this one here is Messenger Kids. I'll go back, sorry. Is Messenger Kids. This is from Facebook. So it's just it's a way that kids can connect again with other contacts, other friends, but you have all of the control over who who their contacts are, who they can talk to. This is a great way that you can have your younger children be able, you have that, you know who they're talking to. They're able to talk to some of their friends or even into if they might have play groups, especially like I keep saying right now, where we may not really be able to see our friends or our family like we might want to. So this is another great one that you can use that is safe for your younger kids if you're not already using it. And so this is Discord. This is a gamer app. So Discord is one that if your children are is a gamer, Fortnite, any of the popular games, they might use Discord. It's a platform where they're able to have conversations and chat with other gamers about games. And then the next one is Twitch. Twitch, again, is another gaming app. This is one that a lot of parents usually kind of get a little confused by, not just parents, but adults. If you're not really a gamer, you may not really understand why someone would want to watch other people play a game. And this is what Twitch is. It's really, you watch other people play games or do other activities. And we ask the students like, why? What do you like about it? And they, it's a way for them, to learn different strategies for their games or pick up different ideas. And one of the questions or feedback that we always get back from students is, it's the exact same thing for why do parents, like to watch people decorate houses? And it's like, you're right. You're right. You're right. We do the exact same thing. So Twitch is just a live video game where they're able to just watch others in action, their live stream.
Yeah, exactly. Like we always joke that like Twitch is like the food TV of video games, like what food TV or like, cooking shows are to food. Twitch is to video games. So watching someone who's an expert or really skilled do something that we're all, could be passionate about or something. And like Margie mentions HGTV. If you've ever watched an HGTV episode, it's very similar to like a gamer watching something on Twitch.
So as we just went through all these apps. I know it was a lot, but we do want to, we also want to talk a little bit about the impact and give you some resources moving forward, before, we're done. We want to make sure we get you guys some of these resources. Go ahead, Caitlin.
Sure, thanks. So yeah, the other thing we really want to talk about is, we sort of talked through the pros and the cons that this technology can be a wonderful way for kids to stay connected and learn really important social skills and all those things we really want for our kids to feel connected to their peers. But there's also a space where technology can be misused, right? That it can be used for power or for control or something that's inappropriate. And so we kind of just wanted to highlight some of the shifts we've seen in this technology over the years. So Marge, if you wouldn't mind going to the next slide. I would just sort of, love to ask if you wouldn't mind going back just one slide, sorry. Thank you. So some of the adults in the room may remember and AOL, America Online. And one of the very first things people asked when you entered a chat room was ASL, which is age, sex, location, right? What's your age? Are you male or female? Where are you? Where do you live? Right? And these are sort of the quintessential late 90s, early 2000s questions that people ask themselves. And one of the things we saw at sort of that peak of AOL was something called online sexual solicitation, which is where either an adult to a child or peer-to-peer where it's unwanted, there's some sort of sexual request that's made or some sort of sexual talk that's engaged with that child. And so Margie, if you wouldn't mind advancing to the next slide for me. Thank you so much. So we saw again at that peak of AOL that 1 in 5 children had some sort of inappropriate solicitation happen for them. But in response, we created the Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force. We created all sorts of protocols, including responses. You may have seen television shows like How to Catch a Predator. So we said adults should not be having this kind of contact with children. And as a result, we saw a 53% reduction in these crimes over 10 years. However, in that same time period, and it's even increased since 2010, we saw a 150% increase in harassment and particular peer-to-peer harassment. So what's happening is our children are left kind of navigating things that we as adults don't fully understand without a lot of support. And that means that this can be a space for bullying. This can be a space for people who don't treat their friends with respect. As our kids get older, we see that in romantic relationships, we start to see this as a space where kids feel like they don't have connections. So often as parents, our fear is, how are adults going to reach out to our kids? We would push back and say, actually, that's being reduced. That's less of a risk than peer to peer. So is your child feeling emotionally safe? Are they having friends that are bullying them or peers at school that are bullying them online? And those are really the kind of questions we want to help our kids navigate. So just again, to kind of ease the fears that even though we are talking about inappropriate people reaching out to them, that is actually less common now than it was 20 years ago. So just to help parents sort of feel a little bit more reassured that those are actually in a downward trend. But again, that's where we want to be supportive of our kids navigating their friendships. So
So one of the things that you can do is, the bottom line is, start to recognize what some of these warning signs are. Are they starting to be withdrawn? Or do they, are they quiet? Are they staying in their room all the time? Do they seem like they don't want to go to school, or you don't see them talking as joyful about their friends as they were? And so if you start to see that, respond with empathy, have some understanding, what's going on, what's happening. And then if it's something that you find out there is some cyberbullying that's happening, you find that your child is depressed and you need additional help, refer to some resources, and we will give you some resources to refer to. So one of the things that we talk about is, how do you talk to your children about online safety and about these social media apps? So what we found was, instead of having this authoritarian parenting style, which is what we would say is like this kind of like this power over type style, to go into this style of being a instead of like this power over, be more power with. Sit with your child, talk to your child, ask them, what do you like about about certain social media apps. Teens actually, one of the things that we found is they want their parents to talk to them. They wanted their parents to have like this trust and this respect of, they're able to sit down, they're going to talk to me about it instead of just coming at me talking over, I'm gonna take your phone away, stay off of that app, I don't want you doing this, I don't want you doing that. That's not what children want. And I know we're talking about teens, but even now with our younger children, if we can start having these conversations now, one of the ways is, approach with curiosity. Speak with them, like I was saying, ask them about the app. Ask them, what do you like about Snapchat? What do you like about TikTok? What don't you like about this app? And if you start having these conversations, even with your younger children, if they're on YouTube, tell me about that song. Why do you love this song so much? That song is, oh, it's so silly, and so you're able to start this relationship around social media. And when you start to have this relationship and you have this connection with your child, it can make it a lot easier as they get older. They'll know that you're open and that they can come and talk to you about maybe what's happening on social media with their friends or even with their romantic partner. So these are just, some ways to start the conversation. Just have this curiosity as to what it is that they like about that new technology or what they like about social media.
And not to scare any parents, but kids are tech experts, right? We think about, have you ever seen a 3-year-old navigate an iPad and they know exactly what they're doing, right? We know that if we calm down with these parental control apps or this power over response for kids, that they're just going to figure out a way to do it anyway, and then they're not going to tell their parents. And I will tell you firsthand that Margie and I hear that every single day from students. The students who have parents who say, I'm scared and I'm going to sit with my kid, even though I'm terrified of this, and I'm going to hear them talk about TikTok and that worries me, but you just stay in that moment with them, they're more likely to make safer choices than when we respond with judgment and fear. And so much of this work is on us to stay calm, to find ways to navigate this. And obviously we're in the middle of a pandemic, that's easier said than done. But any way you can sit with this and say, yes, this is scary, but I want to be here in the moment with my child, we're going to have better outcomes for everyone.
And it's always fun for your child to teach you something new. So it's always fun for them as well, to be able to explain, how to get what a Snapchat is and just explain that.
And Margie, we have 1 minute left, so I know we've got a very limited amount of time. So maybe we can just very quickly walk over the resources, and then we can make sure that these get sent out to everyone who attended tonight.
So real quick, commonsense.org is a great resource for any type of information about technology. This is a great one that you can go to. I'm gonna go through some real fast. Safer, Smarter Kids is another great resource that you can go to. Caitlin, this is one that they can get online, right?
Correct. So safersmarterkids.org has a whole cyberbullying section. It also has a plan that parents can make with their children. Common Sense Media has one that does include elementary school, but this is truly for kindergarten through 5th grade with really excellent resources.
And then Interland is it's a game that will help teach, a Google game that will help teach online safety. It asks different questions, and it's just a fun way to have fun with your child around being safe online And
And
then
then just really, oh, sorry, I didn't mean to
go
interrupt
ahead,
you.
go ahead.
Really quickly, Be Internet Awesome. If you put that into Google, search Be Internet Awesome, there's actually a whole family guide and curriculum, and Google will actually walk you through parental settings, how to navigate that. So the question about how do I navigate my child's use of Chromebooks and websites and other things like that, they're using Google Chrome to do that. And Be Internet Awesome has excellent resources for parents to help set up safety features, but also help their children learn important skills.
And then the last two just has to do with mindfulness. One is for younger children, more, I would say, elementary, Moshi, Twilight. And then Calm, I would use for maybe fourth and fifth graders. Just a great way for mindfulness and to kind of calm their bodies down. Where's the line is our bystander. So if you have any questions or if you have you need any assistance, you can reach out through text, through you can call, or even online. So we will put all this, we will send this out to you all the resources. I do just want to say thank you for joining us today and spending your evening with us to listen. I know we went over, we apologize for that. And thank you for being here with us tonight.
Thank you. And I know we're gonna, kind of wrap this up again. That'll be the link for your feedback. But we also can leave some space for a quick question and answer if anyone has any additional questions. So I'll take a look at those. Thank you so much for being here tonight. Really appreciate your time and energy. Like Margie said, we'll send these things out. It has our contact information. Margie's a great person to, pick her brain about what resources are out there. And we can have additional like PDFs and things that we can send you if there's particular questions.